Hi, I have with me Arun Bhat. Arun is a professional photographer from Bangalore, and recently Arun has won the prestigious HIPA Photography Award. Arun, congratulations on that.
Thank you, Suresh.
Arun, what's this award about? I mean, the category was Life in Colors, and when I saw that photograph, it was marvelous, really. So, can you tell me something about this photograph?
So this is a photograph of young monks, very something like 5-6 year old monks running around chasing each other playfully. I was staying in a monastery in Lahore and Spiti region. It's in Himachal Pradesh, northern parts of Himachal Pradesh. I was staying there and documenting the lives of the Buddhist monks who live in the monastery. So I was interacting with them and learning about the way of their life, understanding a little bit about their religion, staying with them, talking to them, and eating with them, and staying in the same place where they are staying. The whole idea of going there was to document the lives of these monks and understand how they live, and perhaps share those stories that I captured during my stay over there. And in this process, I saw these young fellows, very young monks. They get enrolled as early as an age of 5 or 6 or something like that. And usually during the day, they have their fixed routine where they have to study some scriptures or chant something together or whatever they are asked to do. And they used to have some free time in the evening, say around 4 to 6 or somewhere around that. And you know how kids are, right? So you put them in a room for the whole day, and there's all this built up energy that needs to be released. And once they're out, they're like running and
Yes,
screaming,
completely, yeah.
and they're all over the place. And whenever the energies are a little lower, they would settle down a bit, play some cricket or some structured games, and then again run around and chase each other, laugh and smile, and the way the kids are.
Okay.
Extremely energetic and extremely active. So one day I watched them play. I went without a camera just to see them at play and see what they do and all that, and I found it really exciting. So the next day I took my camera, and I must have spent like more than an hour photographing them.
Were they conscious when you took your camera in front of them, or were they busy among themselves
I think they were
playing?
absolutely busy doing what they were doing, and they had the least care about this guy who was having this camera and taking pictures of them.
Okay.
They were totally not bothered.
Sure.
It was almost like I did not exist for them.
Oh, okay. What is this HIPA?
So I'll give you an idea about what the award is about. This was established by the Crown Prince of Dubai about 4 years ago. Last year was the 4th year of the award. It basically is an award that it's open for all photographers to enter and enter their images depending on the subject. You have 4 categories normally, and one of them is called the major category. Last year, Life in Color was the major category, and there were 3 more categories. One of them is called General, where you can enter any other images, and typically the other categories vary from year to year. So you have 5 awards for each of the 4 categories, and there's also one grand prize which is picked from the main category itself. So you have 21 awards, and besides that, there are 2 more special awards which are given to veterans in the industry who have achieved something significant.
I'm sure you had clicked so many other photographs also, but was it the best photograph that you sent to the competition, or were there any other photographs also?
Yeah, I had chosen a couple of pictures, so not just this one, but this was my definite favorite among all those pictures that I had entered.
When you visited this monastery, how was the environment there? Because it's usually said there were the children without knowing the pains of the world, the pleasures of the world, but they were there. They were towards the religious side of the life. So didn't you observe any kind of a conflict between them? Was the life actually full of colors for them?
I think absolutely yes. In fact, there's this general assumption that monks are, celibate, and for the lifestyle that they lead, they should be very probably subdued and sober and not living our everyday life that we see, which is full of some emotions, either positive or negative, some happy moments and some not so happy moments and things like that. But that's not really the case. It's not just with the children, even with the adults that I tend to meet there. And so many monks that I have interacted with and known and have had chat with. I found them to be living their life much more complete and much more happily and much more in the moment than a lot of other people. They didn't look like people who are bored of everything and then eventually because they're bored they just sit down and meditate and go through their life and eventually waiting for their life to end. They didn't look like that. They were actually very enthusiastic, very receptive, very hospitable, very friendly, and you actually enjoyed being with them. You had some energy rubbing off from them into you as well. It was very happy, very nice to be there, in fact.
There are several fields. There is nature, there is landscape and everything, but you have chosen travel photography as your passion. Is there any particular reason for this?
So it's actually a long journey of discovery. It's not that the day I started photographing, these are the subjects that I decided to choose and started working with it. I think what you said is actually right. When I first bought my camera, my subjects were landscapes. I went after those beautiful sunsets, beautiful sunrises, mountains, rivers, and things like that. It still remains one of my very favorite subjects to photograph because simply by being there in those beautiful places, you feel good about it, and eventually you want to capture those beauty back home. So landscapes is one of the things that I actually enjoy shooting, and I spend quite a bit of time shooting that. And that's exactly where I started photography from. My first photographs, if I remember correctly, I actually used to go out and look out for those places where I could not find humans, and if I find someone walking by in my frame, I used to curse that person and had to wait for that person to move away from the frame. So it evolved slowly, and this evolution was a mix of a lot of things. First, I used to shoot a few other things just because other people used to shoot subjects outside landscape, which could be people, portraits, or any other thing. And then there are times where I shot something simply because that's a cool thing to do. So these were part of evolution. And those times I don't think I had a very clear vision, not that I have today, but it was even blurred those days. So it was a very blurred idea about what photography has to be. I was certain that I enjoyed photography. I was certain that I enjoyed traveling, but I did not know what I really enjoy about photography. Although there were landscapes which I really loved shooting, other things seem to be sort of, okay, this is a good thing to do, but I'm not so sure about it. And then there were cool things to do, and I used to just go after them because people used to like those images and said, oh, great, kind of things. And I shot for those things at some point in time. Slowly, when I started experimenting with multiple genres, which could be people, storytelling, portraits, and even commercial photography and landscape photography, eventually there was somewhere where I started realizing that these are the things that I want to do and these are the things that I don't want to do. Say, for example, I still enjoy shooting landscapes and I continue to shoot that, and I enjoy telling stories of people, which is more than anything else that I enjoy these days. And it could be in the form of any genre of photography that it comes to, because sometimes when you want to tell stories of people, you want to show the landscape they live in. Sometimes when you're telling stories of people, you want to show a wrinkled face or a newborn baby's face or a beautiful girl's face. So you shoot portraits also, and then you shoot a lot of pictures that include everything, like pictures of people in their environment or things in their environment, which tell larger stories. So today I shoot a mix of everything, and I enjoy shooting all of them. And the whole idea of photography is that it has to tell some stories that have some meanings, either to spread word about the kind of people who live there, or the kind of things that happen in a place, or just to talk about the diversity of the world.
It's usually said that when a photographer is taking a photograph, he actually misses that moment. It could be a sunrise, a sunset, or a beautiful moment. He misses it because he's too busy taking the photograph. Have you also come across such kind of experience?
I think that's a very valid question. I have seen a lot of photographers or my friends complain about that and say that I actually missed that moment because I was too busy taking pictures. I have gone through that phase where I used to feel that at some point in time, and I have felt at times when I look back at my old pictures, and felt certain times that such a beautiful moment, what was I doing there? I was just shooting instead of enjoying that moment. I realized that that is something that happened to me a lot at some point in time when I was too busy shooting or when I was too obsessed with photography. But it's I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 years back. I can't remember the exact time frame when this happened to me, but at some point in time I put photography as something secondary. So when I go to a place, when I see something interesting happening or when there's something really unfolding in front of me, I don't feel compelled to shoot. People who travel with me also tell me that I'm the last person to open the camera and I'm the last person to take a picture, or in fact, I've seen some people saying that for 2-3 days when they're traveling with me, they don't even know what camera do I have because I've not taken it out from the bag. So I don't feel compelled to shoot. There are times when you lose moments, and I don't have any regrets about this. In fact, even talking about this winning image that we just discussed, it is not that I was holding my camera all the time and I went click, 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 and eventually picked up this picture. And so I saw these boys running back and forth, and there was some predictable pattern that was happening in their movement and in their games. So I was watching them and enjoying them, and then I realized that okay, this is a photograph that really can make a difference and something that can stand out. If I can extend a little bit on that, in fact, I also take a lot of time to shoot my pictures. I don't really get my friends quickly by walking in, take a couple of pictures and move away. I have rarely managed to get some good pictures, whatever I have had in the past. Whenever I have some satisfying moments, satisfying pictures in my camera, these are all pictures taken by settling down in a place, taking a bit of time, understanding what is there to shoot, and interacting with the people there if there are people involved, understanding the story, and then eventually deciding my frame and then taking pictures. These are times when I felt better about taking pictures, and perhaps also got better pictures than what I would have otherwise made by just walking into a place and just walking out, kind of thing. Yeah, that kind of thing. Yes.
One particular photograph that I saw it in your website was that of a person sleeping with all complete his heels completely gone. What's the background of this? What's the story behind this photograph?
Well, I'll have to disappoint you here because I remember I told you that there was a time when I was just shooting a few things because it was supposed to be cool, or I was just trying to imitate other people and things like that. So this is just an inspirational shot that was imitated by me. So there's an original picture which was very similar to this, not exactly the same. That was shot by a French photographer by name Joel Kedio. I was traveling in Rajasthan about 7 years ago, and I was in a small region of Rajasthan called Shekhawati, where I went to this heritage Haveli museum called Nadinla Prince Haveli, where they had this picture in display. And this is something that really struck me quite a bit. It got imprinted in my mind for a very, very long time, in fact. And I've heard another person who had visited the museum say the same thing, that this is something that I remembered very strongly, kind of thing. So it was there in my mind, and then maybe a year later, so even after a year I had remembered this picture. A year later, I was traveling in northern Karnataka in a small village called Lakkundi, if you have heard the name of the place.
We have temples,
Yeah, exactly. The place is strewn with temples all over the place, and each temple is about 1,000 years old, so precious and so beautiful. And these temples are all spread around village, right? And people go around their lives, either sitting and chatting around. And I saw this man very happily sleeping in the middle of summer in his courtyard, in his house courtyard, absolutely oblivious to everything that's happening around him. So I watched his feed. The feed is the first thing that came to me, my view first, and suddenly I remembered this picture that I had shot earlier, and I thought, oh, okay, maybe I can make something similar. When I saw this, and that's how I shot this. Frankly speaking, there was no thought behind that. There was no meaning, nothing whatsoever.
Arun, I also see this another series, The Elephant Man. Could you tell me how capture these moments?
So it's essentially storytelling with photography, or storytelling with your camera. I took some time off and went to this small village called Sakrabailu near Shimaga, where they have an elephant camp. And Sakrabailu is a village that predominantly has mahouts, and there are about a dozen elephants in the camp. And most of the people in the village just spend their time taking care of these elephants, which belong to the forest department. So I went there, and I had gone with a specific intent that I want to capture the interaction of mahouts and elephants. The thing about mahouts and elephants is that they sort of get attached to each other at some point in time, and it can be a love-hate relationship. Sometimes the elephants don't listen to another person if the mahout is away, and they actually start getting cranky because the regular mahout is not there. Sometimes even when the regular mahout is there, they don't listen to the mahout. So it's like a love-hate relationship, or even the other way to say it is that it's more like a parent-child relationship. Even the mahouts love their elephant and they want to be in their company. I remember one of the mahout telling me that when I go away on a vacation, away from my elephant, I always keep thinking, what's my elephant doing today? Is it okay? And that kind of relationship. At the same time, if the elephant doesn't listen to what the mouse says, it gets beaten. Beaten very slightly in a small cane hardly hurts the elephant, but then the elephant knows that, okay, my guy is angry and that kind of thing, right? So I wanted to capture those intimate moments and also in the process document how life of an elephant happens inside the elephant camp and also the life of a mahout.
Arun, also do you take a bunch of budding talents, photographers, and you take them and on the field and you train them. How do you do this?
Largely, we help working professionals to grow photography as a hobby and also help everyone come together and build community of photographers. So the way we do it is we do multiple things. One is we conduct photography workshops at different level. Say for example, you just got a new camera and you don't know how to work with it and how to take good pictures, but you're drawn to photography. The first steps, the basics. So we do workshops, especially in Bangalore here and a few other cities across India. Typically 2-day workshops, one Saturday and Sunday, where we give a crash course introducing you to your camera features. But then just knowing camera is not good enough. You'll become a technician, you'll not become a photographer. So we also teach how to take good pictures, compositions, angles, framing, storytelling, and also a little bit about post-processing. And it's a mix of practice and theory so that you actually use your camera and get to understand how exactly it works and how to manipulate your camera controls and eventually get what you require. And also a little bit about framing and storytelling outdoors when you're out there shooting. So this is the fundamentals, and then we also do workshops on a few advanced topics. Say for example on post-processing, studio lighting, specifically on compositions, specifically on travel photography and wildlife photography and so on. So some of these things like wildlife photography and travel photography, you can't sit in between 4 walls and learn about wildlife photography. So we do it outdoors. So we take people on excursions, small groups, say about 10 people, 12 people, not more than that. Anything more and you cannot really interact very well with each of those participants. So we travel with a group of 10 to 12 and say if it's a wildlife photography workshop, you obviously want to do that in a wildlife sanctuary. Or when you do a travel photography workshop, we go to this beautiful place called Badami, an extraordinary place, but very few people even in Karnataka know very well about this place, where you get a mix of a lot of things, some heritage, some cultural richness, and some people who live off the land and that kind of a place. And we also do a lot of what we call photography tours. This is a mix of two things. One, you travel for pleasure to different places which can be exciting either because of the cultures or landscapes or any other things. And while you are there, you have a leader, a photography mentor who comes with you, and then he teaches photography and also helps you a lot to take pictures on the field. Again, in photography tours, you have some themes on which you work on. Say, for example, when you go to the mountains, you predominantly work on landscapes. Or when you go to a place like Rajasthan, you predominantly work on street photography or people photography. So what we do is try to promote photography as a hobby, a fulfilling creative outlet kind of thing, rather than a very serious affair where you become technically proficient and take pictures that your clients want. But you go out and interact with fellow photographers and shoot, learn in the process and make some unique images in the process. So more like, okay, I have my work that is set aside and now I need a creative outlet to keep my mind busy and happy. So those kind of things is what we encourage, and we also try to put people together as often as possible. Say for example, we do these monthly events called Kuta along with another friends of ours called Talam. And what we do there is that we call in a photographer who talks about any subject that he is expert in, and anyone is welcome to come in. Say we normally get about 30-40 people coming in. We do this once a month. And in the process, you also get to meet other photographers, interact with them, and also get to ask questions to someone who's an expert and learn from them, right? So what we're trying to do is, one, cultivate the hobby and also create a platform where photography enthusiasts can come together and learn together.
Arun, what are your future plans now?
Yes, so good. There are obviously plans are plenty, like anyone should have. The first thing that comes to my mind is I'm continuing on this project of documenting the lives of Buddhist monks. Last year, I spent about a week sitting in a monastery and spending time with monks. I'm going to continue working on that, and I'm also expanding the geographical scope of this project. It happened by coincidence that I went to a lot of places where you see Buddhist monasteries and Buddhist monks. Initially, I worked on documenting lives of these people in an unstructured manner, simply because I enjoyed being with them. But then at some point in time, I took it as a more important and worthwhile project work on documenting the lives. So in this process, I happened to meet, not in the process of documenting the lives of these people, but when I happened to travel Myanmar and Cambodia in the last few years, I spent time in monasteries and interacted with monks in both the places and saw the rituals and pujas that they do in these places. Incidentally, talking about that, in Cambodia, I found that a lot of these Buddhist rituals, unlike what you see in the Indian Himalayas, they sound very Hindu rituals, like say, when I was in a monastery in Cambodia, I found that there was an old lady who was there, and she had come to offer some puja, and there was some monk sitting almost like Hindu priests and chanting something and then blessing her, which I found very interesting. So what I want to do is document these very interesting features about the lives as well as rituals of Buddhist monks, which can encompass multiple geographies, which includes, of course, India, Indian Himalayas, and then Myanmar and the rest of Southeast Asia, including Cambodia, perhaps even expanded to Sri Lanka and Japan, which are the places where you see Buddhism thriving, and multiple facets of Buddhism or multiple practices of Buddhism do exist. So one of the things that I want to do, which can be a very long-term documentary, is working on this. And then the other thing that I want to work on, or something that I have been slowly starting to work on and started conceiving some projects in my mind, is to use photography to either spread word about good things that happen in the world, or use photography to talk about change. Say, for example, there are a lot of people who are doing some good work. Say, for example, some people doing work on conservation, some people working on uplifting the society, or some people helping the underprivileged people and things like that. So some of these things actually can do with rest of the world knowing about what they're doing. And these stories are important, and they need to come out, and it can be told better in pictures or in the form of videos rather than just words, which people may not be willing to consume these days. Like they say, the old saying goes that pictures are like 1,000 words, right? So perhaps use whatever I know about photography and document the good work that is happening around and spread the word about it, which is very important. The world has to know all the good things that are happening. The word about bad things spread very quickly. When there's a war happening, there are 100 video journalists and photojournalists going out there and capturing the war happening and bring it live into your TV through all the technology that we have today, right? But the good things don't take up so much of media attention. Perhaps do whatever I can to bring attention to the world, and at least people who follow my work about all those things. So that's something that I've been seriously working on. I already have thought about a few projects to work on, but they're still in the conception stage, and I'm working on them.
Arun, I wish all the success to your future, to your career, and I expect much more, beautiful travel imageries from you. And thanks for being with us. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, Sagosh. Pleasure being here.